Well, you're still with Switch On Network, and you know we bring you some of the hottest content that is around at the moment. And we are privileged. I have the distinct privilege of sitting with Xola Mlambo. It is part 2. He's been here before. He's been on the couch. But there's more to discuss, and there's more that we want to get into. He's a veteran in the game by now. He's played the game for a very long time. He's experienced quite a bit in his journey. And that's what we want to get into. And I think he's got a lot of wisdom to impart, especially to up-and-coming youngsters out there. And so it is something, a conversation we want to have that is going to go a bit deeper into the things that happen off the field as well. So make sure you like, you comment, subscribe, interact with us. What are the questions you want to know? What are the questions you might have for the legend, if I can call him that already? He's not quite done yet, but he's heading that way. Xola, great to sit with you. Great to interact on this platform.
No, great to be invited here again. I mean, they say if it's nice, you call it twice, right?
Now let's get into it, man. You know, if we can just rewind a bit, when you look at your career up to now, the highs, the lows, it's not quite the glitz and glam that people think. Being a professional footballer, everyone thinks, wow, it must be such a lovely... But there's a lot that goes in, and there's a lot that people don't understand. How would you sum up like your journey thus far?
I think there's a lot that happens in football that people don't get to understand and know, you know. Before they judge these individuals that are playing and they see on TV, they must try and interact and get a bit of an understanding. Looking into my journey, I would say I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
You know, for either the highs, the lows, looking at how I broke into the professional setup as to the things that I've achieved and the time that I've achieved them at. It was a blessing in disguise. I would say there's more grace than regret.
Yeah.
So that's what keeps me going, and that's what I'm grateful for, because many people might not see you playing, but the behind the scenes training, the teams that you work with, the technical team, what you learn from this game as well as an individual also counts a lot.
Yeah.
So for me, I would say I'm very grateful for the time that I've spent in football, the time that I'm spending in football, because it's not only teaching me about football, but teaches me about life as well, as to how to handle things when it's difficult, how to behave when it's good and all rosy that they think it is. But it's not always that. There's more of inclines than the
decline.
you know.
Yeah.
So as an individual, you learn more when you go through adversity. And that more so, what I could say, it made me grow as an individual, as a person, as to how I view and see life. Yeah,
certainly. I mean, I'm a coach, and I can subscribe to that, where you learn more from the matches you lose than from the matches you win.
Definitely.
And that's a lot, like you say, you know, the journey of a footballer as well. Now, I mean, we've obviously in the previous episode touched on quite a bit, but let's just go back to your time at like a TS Galaxy per se. You know, when you look at maybe the circumstances around, you know, you leaving or whatever the case may be, is there anything that sticks out in your mind, like as maybe what could have been done better, what could have been handled better? What's the sticking point maybe in your time with TX Galaxy?
I think, to be honest, TS Galaxy was one of my individual lesson as a human being, as to say, don't always go with expectations, you know? And like it is even said in the Bible, man, you just definitely have to trust a stone than a human being. But it shaped me, you know, to be the man that I am today. Looking at the teams that I've played for to TS Galaxy made me strong. Made me the person that I am today. It didn't change me. It didn't define me, but it solidified my character.
And when you look, I mean, are there pivotal moments in that journey with TS Galaxy where you say the treatment of players in general, like what is it that players need to do differently? Like you say, you learned a lot, and maybe it was a trying time for you. Is there anything you would have done different? And what are the treatments that players shouldn't accept, and how should players better look after themselves?
Taking it from my experience, I wouldn't have changed anything. Went there to play football, coming back from AmaZulu, helping AmaZulu to qualify for CAF, and so coming back, TS Galaxies in Joburg, wanted to be in and around home, having been around my family for quite some time, and you get to learn, So why I'm saying it shaped me, and I'm saying I wouldn't have changed anything that have happened, is that it also taught me how to save. Because in my playing career, that was the first time I was receiving money that I would say, oh, okay, now life has changed.
Okay.
I need to now learn how to handle it better. And when certain situation occurred where people were not paid and all of those things, it taught me how to be a greater person for another brother, because there was even a clip that was circulating at the time. There was a meeting. I don't know who leaked it. We were having a conversation about people who are struggling to get to work because they haven't received their salaries for quite some months and all of that. And funny enough, I was one of the players who was suggesting that, guys, if you have, come, let's share so that we can all be at training. When the situation becomes better, then obviously those that have been helped, they would learn also how to help, But hence I'm saying it taught me a lot.
Now, you say that though, and it seems like you're the guy who kind of wants to get everybody together. Do you find, was there a buy-in from players? Because in my experience in the past, it's every man for himself. That's literally how it's been from a player perspective. When it comes down from the club, maybe the club's not doing what they're supposed to. But then when it comes to the players coming together like that, generally it's every man for himself.
I would say you get that a lot. Every man for himself. And that's what football taught me.
Yeah.
But when I had a discussion with my aunt now, when I was in the Northwest, she said something so profound to me. Said, don't allow people to change the person that you are, because you're already losing, So with whatever that happened at TS Galaxy, because a lot was happening in my mind, and I was having a discussion with her, a very, very wise old woman. And when she said that, I listened to what she said and tried to understand what she isn't saying, But when you bring back TS Galaxy and what she said to me, it resonates with what I'm saying to say TS Galaxy taught me a lot.
Yeah.
What I've learned in football is that the honest ones, the ones that want to hold the people together, wants to help, I think you've played the game, they suffer a lot.
Yeah. You get ostracized. Yeah.
Yeah, they suffer a lot. Wouldn't even name drop, but I've learned of a character at TS Galaxy. A person who was amongst the people that were not paid was the one who was talking bad about the ones that are paid. Even the ones that wanted to assist.
Yeah.
And today they hold positions. It's funny how life operates, but we move. You just have to learn and grow and keep becoming a better person, because I don't think I'm a human being that wants to be at the top, but knowing very well that I've scrutinized a lot of people that are down there.
Yeah.
I want to, when I rise, I know that I'm picking people up.
Yeah.
There's nobody who's going to say, damn, he's up there because of my pain. No. I'm not that person. And that team taught me to be a person and stay firm in my principles and my ambitions as a human being.
Now, that's awesome. The thing is, I can relate to that a lot, because I had the similar experiences in my career as well, where you kind of want to, get a group together, but then ultimately you're the one that's thrown under the bus.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's pretty much what your experience was.
Definitely. And hence I'm saying it taught me that those that are good, they often suffer a lot. But what I'm saying to the up and young coming generation is that don't lose that hope. Don't lose that personality. Continue.
Stay true to who you are.
One day it will pay out.
Yeah.
Might be in football, might not be in football, but somewhere in life you will reap the rewards for being a good human being.
Yeah, certainly can't argue with that. So let's move on then from obviously your time at Galaxy, your latest stint obviously at Marumo Gallants. That's the thing. It's football is such a funny world. You never, know where you're going to end up. You need to be prepared for every eventuality pretty much. Going into Gallants, you said what TS Galaxy taught you is not to have expectations, or don't expect because it was one way at this club, it's going to be another way at that club. What was your expectation then, and how did you plan, and what was your mindset going in at Gallants?
At Marumo Gallants, to be honest, and Coach Dan was honest with me, which is why I appreciate him a lot, because he's a straight talker and he will tell you what to expect, what not to expect. And when I went to Marumo Gallants, I went there to play football.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been playing for 1.5 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. So my mentality, my mantra was to say, I want to enjoy the game again. I want to play. I want to have fun, The rest will follow. And called in the office when I was about to sign the contract, had a one-on-one discussion with the boss. And I was out and open to him. I said, sometimes also you guys are the ones that bring their hopes high, to us. And when shit hits the fan, excuse my language, it becomes a bit difficult.
Yeah.
Because we can't access you anymore to say, but this is what you promised.
Sure.
Why isn't it delivered? So that tomorrow you can come to me and say, hey, dude, when I signed you, you said you're going to create, you're going to score. Why are you not doing that? Because all that you needed, all that we spoke about has been provided for. But I went there with no expectations because of my previous experiences. And I was straight up with him. And then I was like, this is it. I want to come here. Yep. You say with the experience, mentor the youngsters and all of those things. I think that thing is a gift for me. I don't even have to be asked to do
that
it.
Naturally. Yeah.
It is naturally. That's why I'm even closer with many of the youngsters. Even the youngsters that have left there, they now call me. We talk, we chat. It's the brotherhood thing, But most of the people that would have problems with me in the teams, and something that I've learned, are the experienced ones.
Okay.
Sometimes it's because you're competing with them in the same position. Sometimes it's because of the previous teams that you've played for. This one thinks is better because he played for Pirates, Vets, and all of those things.
They have these expectations.
Yeah. So it was all of those challenges that I have to face. But I went there without any expectation because I just wanted to play football and help the ones that are coming. Because we play football, but we shouldn't play football thinking that we'll play forever. Yeah. Our time is going to come and pass. And if we have to still be competing with the youngsters, the performances should be saying youngsters deserve to play more than the experienced one, It's definitely what we're seeing in the Club World Cup. I mean, Thiago Silva, at the age that he is, he still performs. If he doesn't perform, then don't play him.
Sure.
And also he will raise a hand if he's an honest person and say, the game has left me. I think maybe I need to do something else, So it was all good when we arrived, and there were changes, because there were moments where we had a team meeting. I think they were about to introduce the technical director, and the chairman said to me, you don't seem to be happy. I said, as an honest person, I can't lie to you and I can't pretend or fake. Yes, I am not happy because you said I have to call you. I call you, you don't pick up my calls. That's the clarity that I wanted to bring on board, to say, don't say something to me and then don't do it. Because I don't believe in that thing of saying I will do this and then not do it. If I'm unable to do it, I should be the first one to let you know.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, from there, everything just went south, Then I was like, here we go again. But, and it was sad to hear a coach that brought me in apologizing to me, said, definitely I regret bringing you in this environment, because he knew everything that was happening to me.
Okay.
From the salaries, from the first month, I wasn't paid full. The second month, the same. The third, the same. Even off today, they haven't paid me those balances, that they paid me short of.
Okay.
And then when Coach Dan called me one day and said, I'm really, really sorry I brought you in this team because I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it is for you, but I apologize. And then I said to him, no, don't worry, don't. I just hope that your coaching career gets a better opportunity and you find a better place. I'll continue praying for you. That was our conversation. You know?
Okay. And I mean, when you look at, obviously, coming in, you say you were out for quite a while before getting that opportunity. When you look back now, would you change anything? Would you do things differently? Like that, maybe that conversation with the chairman. You say it's who you are. You're an honest person. But when you reflect on it.
Nah, I don't think I would change because I would be losing myself. You know, I would want to change if I was telling lies.
Yeah.
So the suffering that I got from being honest and being the person that I am, I'm okay with it.
You're okay to endure
I'm
that.
okay to endure that. As
That's
long as
a cross
I know,
you have to bear.
Yeah, as long as I sleep better at night and I know that I told the truth. And whatever that happened, it happened because of being an honest man. So be it. I'll take that suffering.
When you look at your experience in the South African football landscape, I've always said I feel like players are too expendable. And it seems like that's your story as well, where it's too easy to just, like to discard of a player. And it's an ongoing thing. And we as players are solely, I would say, responsible for that if we don't take a stand.
I would say definitely, but will it change anytime soon? I don't know. But that's what I'm hoping for, so that the other generation can have a different tale to tell. You know, it can't be the same story. One person saying, oh, I was an honest person. I was trying to do this and I got the suffering. Let the environment be conducive now. And we see the boys playing football, enjoying football. And when they retire, they say, definitely, I enjoy my time playing football. I wish the rest that are coming can have the same.
Okay.
It shouldn't always be the ones that are saying, I wish the best for the ones that are coming. Oh, I'm trying to do the best so that they find the environment better.
And again, we speak about the struggle. It's somebody has to be willing to sacrifice themselves in order for change to be effected. And again, are there enough footballers who are willing to do that? Are there enough guys who are willing to say, hey, we need to change the narrative. We need to change the landscape of football. But again, are they willing to do it?
It's a very interesting question you ask, but I'm going to answer it in a way I see fit. I think some are scared. I don't know why, but I can solely raise my hand and say I'm enjoying the suffering because of being that one that came out and spoke about my experience at TS Galaxy.
Yeah.
Because there's untold stories that I don't even share with my closest friends sometimes. To say, there was also a chairman that once mentioned it to somebody and said, we discuss certain things as chairmen, as us as players, we talk, and after my saga that happened, I'll call it saga.
Yeah.
It was difficult for me to find a team. Because of the discussions that also the chairmen have.
Yeah.
So
branded
now,
almost a troublemaker.
now I'm painted in the brush that I'm not at. But we're grateful for such platforms so that we can share our side of the story.
Yeah.
So that people understand that sometimes you have to listen to both sides of the stories, because I for one have learned that there's 3 sides of the stories in life. There's the truth, there's lies, and
It's your side, his side, and the truth is somewhere in the middle.
You get what I'm saying? So that's life. And I just hope that other people learn from other people's experiences.
Yeah.
Not only mine, because why I'm talking about my experiences is so that the younger ones can learn from them.
Sure.
And they can do things differently. They can act and behave differently. And they can be treated differently as well. Even in my absence, but they can say, oh, but there's change. Even if it's not from me, somebody else. But at least when we see change and we see a different tale that's being told, then it means a lot. It means that the environment is improving and there's better way of being treated. And the players will respond differently. I don't think there'll ever be a player that wants to suck up to certain things, certain behaviors, so that they can keep their job by killing other players.
Yeah.
You know, the environment would be fairly. It would be based on performance. It would be based on not who says what and what. Because sometimes the problem is that whatever that I would say about Mark, they would never come back to Mark while I'm in his presence and say, hey, Xola, you said this about Mark. Sure. You remember? Then if I was telling a lie, then it would be difficult for me to say, yeah, but Mark, you said this and that. When, where, how?
Yeah.
Did you see it? Or you're just making up a story and they are acting up on that.
And we're too quick to just accept one version of a story.
That's the problem.
Now, again, Xola, for me, it's so interesting having this conversation with you because, you know, it's an age-old story almost. We've seen players of yesteryear come out and speak about these things. You speak about educating and equipping the next generation. You're a man who went to varsity as well. You studied. What's your feel and what's your thoughts when it comes to marrying the two? Because again, one thing I feel we need to change in terms of the mindset of our footballers is that we are only footballers. When you play football, that's what you do. That's all you know. And we know when you come to the end of your career, that's when you realize that, hey, I should have been, and I should have. What's your narrative in that regard? Like, what do you want footballers to understand about their journey as footballers?
I think, in my opinion, it's good to have both and balance them. Because apart from thinking the end of career, but it sharpens your way of thinking.
Yeah.
You know, it sharpens the way of playing as well. Because it doesn't mean that if you'd study to become an accountant, you'll end up being one.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lady that I know, she studied accounting. And believe you me, today she's a baker.
Okay.
And she's making a fortune, a killing in that. But her studying the accounting, it helps her with running the finances of her business.
Sure.
You know, so as a footballer, if you could give yourself time, even if it's short courses that you would do, it would improve even your way of playing, your way of thinking, your way of seeing things in the field of play. But you would know that maybe sometimes it would balance you somewhere, somehow.
Yeah. And I've had that experience. So obviously, as a coach, educated footballers make better footballers because it's like your mind is open, especially with the way the modern game is going. There's so much. It's not just going out on the field and play like it was 10, 15 years ago.
There's information
There's
that you have
so
to
much
take
information
in,
that you have to take in.
Analyzing.
And again, the analysis that's in the game now. And it opens your mind in because obviously the brain is a must. You know, you when you exercise the brain, you know, the better you get at it. And so those elements, the educated footballer is something that we need to strive for.
Definitely. But I was so pleased to see a lot of footballers now having to accomplish their educational side of thing. And I think maybe from the generation before I got to Wits, you know, a player knowledge or something. He was studying as well at Wits. You know, there's a trend now, like players want to be educated because we now no longer hear of the stigma of saying soccer players are uneducated people, because there is your Thabo Mnyamane, who was one of the best players that I've played with, who studied. There's also a Gavin Msimango, who is pursuing his, there's also, I forgot that boy's name, who was a goalkeeper at Chiefs. He's an engineer. Like there's a lot.
Rylan.
I think so.
Yes.
So when you see that, if one can do it, it means the rest can follow. You cannot want to close yourself in the box of saying, I'm a footballer only and that's that. What do you then do with your spare time? Because there is, as much as in some other months, there isn't enough time, but in other months there is. So you can balance the two, or even if it's not football, but you can learn with maybe trying businesses here and there. It's still a lesson. It's still educational.
And the reality is you don't have to be, I think it's impossible to be a full-time student and a full-time professional footballer. But like you say, if you're doing your courses that lead to ultimately getting a degree, you don't need to, if a normal varsity student gets his degree in 3 years and you take 6 years to do yours, it's still the same degree ultimately. And like you say, you're growing as an individual.
Yeah, but here's Rodri. Rodri achieved it in the time that it was. So maybe it's easier that side than it would be easier this side, you know? But I think it's doable. I think, in my opinion, it is doable. There's also the players in Barcelona. They were talking about it, even when they were in the Europa thingy. They were still focusing on their educational side of things. Yeah. They would tell Yamil that, no, it's time for you to go back and study. And he's one of the best players. Can you imagine?
World, yeah.
You know? So I think if it can be introduced, it would make a lot of difference. I mean, at Vets, I think there was a program that was supposed to be followed. I don't know what happened to it. At Tux, it was there. And I hope the newly promoted team can also at least give opportunities to these young boys to say, hey, don't only focus in football, because there's time, and they work with the coaches to say, let's work according to your program. When do you want them to train? When can they attend classes? How to balance the two so that it can be easier even for these boys.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, our very own Percy Tau as well. He achieved his degree while he was out in Europe, still studying through UNISA, I think it was. So it is something that the narrative that we need to change, I think, with footballers. Now, we're just coming back to you individually. You spoke about being out for about a year and a half. How do you keep yourself going? How do you keep yourself motivated in that space when it seems like you're being ostracized, like you've been forgotten by the football landscape? How do you keep yourself going in that time?
I think, hence I said when we started that I think my footballing career has more highs than lows, you know. And even taking that TS Galaxy moment as it was a low or something, for me, I tick boxes of having a bit of highs from the people that were surrounding me, supporting me, and the fans at large, you know. Their message, time and two. Like at some point, I really, really forgot that I am so loved. But it gave me back the realization to say, it means there is something good that I've done.
Yeah.
You know, for a lot of people not seeing me after so many years, and they would still be able to waste their data, send me messages. Someday we don't even follow each other. You would find the messages in the boxes where you have to accept them, to say they still want to see more of me. They still feel that I can give more.
You've made a mark, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And even when I got to Blom, after I've left, I was receiving calls from people asking, where are you? Why aren't we seeing you? But I had learned not to talk about anything until they do. And they kept quiet, maybe with the hope that I was going to say something. But it wasn't of the importance because of the lesson that I've learned from the previous team, you know. Hence, I said TS Galaxy gave me a greater strength to know how to deal and handle things, you know. So whatever adversity that I'm facing, I can handle it and deal with it with my head held high now and be able to move forward as if like nothing happened.
Okay. When we move forward now from this point, you're good to go. You're only 34 years. You just turned 34. I'm going to say you're only 34 because we spoke about it. And I think in South Africa, we took quick to write people off, especially once you've crossed that 32-year-old mark. But like you said, Thiago Silva, he's 40 years old, still doing the business at the highest level possible. You're still good to go?
Definitely I am. And, you know, when I watch football, I'm happy to also see a lot of older players giving their best, still showing and raising their hand to say, we're still capable, give us the chance. So that if we fail, it would be up on us to say, he was struggling, or no, he can't perform anymore. Mvelasi at TS Galaxy was doing wonders. He's older than me. Linda Mtambo at Skukune doing wonders, older than me, at Tabang Munari. So I think if you still have the desire and the attitude to want to play the game, you will. You know, even after being released at Marumo Gallants, I came back and I was playing a tournament at Pretoria. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the name of the tournament or not.
No, you speak freely.
We're playing the Shaka tournament with the group of my friends under Chego FC. And we played with young boys who were still hungry or still ambition. I played almost all the games, 90 minutes. And at some point, I wasn't even training. We lost in the final with penalties. With penalties, it's a lottery. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
But I think I still have the desire to play football. I will stop only when I feel that it's time for me to stop. If it means I have to play locally for the local teams because I haven't gotten a team, I will do so.
Yeah.
Because I love the game. I mean, I'm what I am today because of the game. It has given me so much so that I cannot now want to turn my back on it.
So let's just, your relationship with the football fraternity, if we can call it that. I know you said you may have been branded a troublemaker of sorts or whatever the case may be. What's your relationship now with your former bosses from maybe specifically TS Galaxy and even Marumo? Is there any kind of relationship?
I don't think I would want to have a relationship with Mr. Tim Sukazi because of a lot that has happened. I mean, he was my agent before he became my boss, and how his team treated me and all of that. I don't want to have a relationship. Even if it means that they would be the only team to offer me an opportunity to come and play, I would refuse it. As much as I would love the game. To that degree? Yeah, okay. Definitely. I would rather come and play local tournaments and whatsoever than to work under him again.
Was it that painful?
It was. It was. Definitely it was. But like I say, I'm grateful that he did that because it shaped me and made me a man that I am today. I mean, some people would never speak as I speak to say they would refuse to take an offer from him if it came, but I wouldn't.
Okay.
Even if it came with a nice, great package, it doesn't define me. I would never take it. There's no relationship. There would never be a relationship between me and him. And with...
Again, I mean, that's how it comes from, like extreme hurt for you to get to that point.
Definitely. Like I'm saying, when his team was struggling and he was struggling financially, I was amongst the players that were saying and speaking to the guys to say, guys, let's come and work. Not to say, no, let's sit and not strike. You say, oh, we have something. If you don't have money to come to work, we will help those that can. And it mustn't be a must. A person must do it willingly out of the goodness of their heart, and to be treated the way I was treated. And from a person who was my agent, from when I started the professional football, he was the one representing me.
Yeah.
And he was the one telling the tale, telling the stories. We would use our own money to drive and support TS Galaxy when they were in the NFT, Guamslang, So all of those things, it showed the type of a human being that he is towards us. I don't think there's many other guys, I think, who feel the same. I don't think I'm the only person who say that, unless maybe some people can say this in the discussions that we have. But if it happens for them to be offered something, they would take it. But I know a friend of mine whom we spoke a bit, who is now a brother in Xola Mlambo, being represented by him for so many years. He shared the same sentiments to say, I did not think this is how you were going to be treated, but we've learned, we moved past that chapter. That chapter is closed. I don't want anything to do with him. I'm okay and I'm good. I don't despise him. I even forgave him for not even apologizing so that I can move past that. And I am where I am today. I am healed from whatever experiences that they've caused. But nah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, but just to put it out there, I mean, you're good to go. And I mean, if there are any suitors out there, you still feel you have something to offer?
Definitely, I still do. I definitely still do. When the time arises and I feel that I can't, as an honest person, I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say, I know.
I'm done.
Now the young boys, I can't catch up with them.
Okay.
But I still feel I have, even if it's not that much of a lot to give, but there is something to give.
No, certainly. Then to any suitors out there, obviously, that's the man himself with experience. Bundles of experience, eh?
Apart from that, too.
No, but are we talking about your intellectual property? What you've experienced in this game? Obviously, it counts. There's no shop for experience. You can't go and buy experience.
You can't.
It's something that no one can take away from you. So even your experience on the field as a footballer, it's not something anyone can give you. You can't buy it in a shop. So you have something to offer in that regard.
Definitely. The older you get, you've played the game, the easier it becomes. Because you know what to do, when to do, how to do it, how to behave, and all of those things. So I think growing up playing football is also a blessing. I mean, Pilo showed, Silva is showing, Velase was showing, if I may bring it back to the locals. And there's still the Cardosos at their age. They still,
Yeah.
So
we just renewed their contracts or got an extension, if we can call it
definitely.
that. Okay. Now, awesome. I just want to take you in terms of recourse and players protecting themselves. A lot of times players don't go fight their cases or whatever the case may be because they don't want to be branded a troublemaker because he's thinking about, the next assignment or the next job. Should we be taking, if you feel you have a case against the club, and maybe, I'm not sure in your case, maybe if there are cases that you are fighting currently, but should we be afraid to protect ourselves and go after what is rightfully ours?
I think we always have to go for what's right, and if you know that you are right, you definitely have to fight for what's right. Don't just create stories and fight for something that's not there, because now you are creating another line which is different. But if you feel that you have been mishandled, for example, being fired for something that you don't know, accused of, stories created, it shouldn't even go down to that. There shouldn't even be battles. Teams just need to treat players better, and players need to respond better to being employed by the teams. And then life continues and it goes. When the contract finishes, if they don't want to keep you, they thank you, you thank them, you move to your next level.
And so there's responsibility on both parts, like you say.
Definitely.
Players have a responsibility. When you are afforded that privilege of having a contract, you must conduct yourself a certain
accordingly,
way.
Yes.
And from the club perspective as well, treat the players accordingly.
So that they can behave accordingly.
Yeah.
There won't be any cases to be fought if football is like that.
If everyone does what they're supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard of any Europeans fighting cases. If you know of one, you can mention.
Again, we don't hear, but it's not to say it doesn't happen. Yes. We don't know. We don't know.
As best as it can be handled. I mean, look at Greenwood's situation.
Yeah.
Manchester still kept him. He's still, if I'm not mistaken, under their books. He's been going out on loans.
Again, it happens where, teams look after players and they protect them or whatever the case may be.
And the players will also look after the teams.
Okay. So on your side, you don't have any cases, or what's your situation currently? Are you still fighting battles or?
It is the TS Galaxy case that's still hanging in the No, it's no longer in the PSL. It's with the SAFA now. And then the Marumo Gallants. Because of the shortages.
There's money that's owed to you.
Yeah. So those are the two cases. So the current one was the Marumo Gallant one because they did not pay me in full. So I don't know, maybe this thing is a curse, but because even at Galaxy, I wasn't paid my salary in full and I kept quiet about it. But the more you keep quiet, the more suffering you'll endure, But what can we say? We passed that, we moved. And life continues.
Xola, I want to delve a bit deeper into the actual cases with TS Galaxy, with Mr. Sukazi specifically. In terms of, there was a termination of your contract. And again, there was stories that came out where you had to pay the club back for possibly, I don't know, was it legal fees, whatever. Just give us an understanding of exactly, and we spoke about their side, your side, and the truth. Yeah. What's your version of events?
In that situation, I got terminated.
But why? Okay, again, maybe we should just understand why. Why was your contract terminated?
It's the situation that occurred between me and the coach when we were playing table tennis. I think a lot of people know of the story now.
Okay.
And then after that, there was a meeting that was held.
No, wait. You say a lot of people know. Maybe people don't know. There's a lot of people who don't know.
Okay,
Paint
definitely.
the picture.
So we were playing table tennis, football tennis.
Okay.
You know, and the coaches were playing against us, and we were winning, and he was cheating us. You know, I mean, who wants to lose with being cheated? What are you teaching us as your players? You know. And then I moved, said, I can't continue if you want us to play like this. And they were saying it's fun games, so it's not something serious for the team. So I said, but this I can't take, because everything I take seriously, everything that I do, I want to do it to the detail, the best that I can, you know. So after that, I was suspended. I was told to train alone. I did that. And from then, I heard from a close friend of mine saying that there was a meeting that was held, a discussion. So 2 senior players, they were influencing also when the coach was asked as to what needs to happen to Xola, you know. So they influenced the decision of me being terminated so that they can make an example about me.
But surely that's not grounds for termination, though.
Yeah,
I mean, having an argument or a disagreement with the coach.
Yeah, I was not even called for a DC or something whatsoever. That decision was taken in that meeting that was held when the team was called and the coach made the decision. So I think the coach then told Team Sugazi that I don't want this player anymore in my team.
Okay.
And I accepted. After I was terminated, the case, like, it was delayed. It was between the negotiations of the termination. So he knows the ins and outs of it. It was the first time dealing with such.
Okay.
And he delayed and prolonged the case so that the case can be thrown away. But with God's grace, we were able to apply for condonation so that they can hear our story, to say, this is the reason we could not submit in time, because we were undergoing discussion of them offering me a termination fee that they want to give, and I did not agree to that because it did not seem fair enough.
Yeah.
Because, like I'm saying, I was being underpaid. I was not paid my full salaries. I said, if you're terminating, then pay me the balances first.
Yeah.
And then discuss as to how much you want to give me from the year that I'm left with.
To terminate, yeah.
You know. So we did not reach an agreement.
Okay.
And it went on to the DRC, and he won the case for terminating me. And there was a fee. I forgot exactly how much that I was supposed to pay, what for, and whatsoever. So the case is now.
They terminated your contract.
Yeah.
And then you were liable for. You had to pay them.
Me not agreeing to what they wanted to give me for terminating my contract. Then we went to the DRC.
Okay.
And then in the DRC, I lost the case. I don't know how and why, but that's how I lost the case. And the verdict was to say I have to pay TS Galaxy whatever amount.
And how long did you have on your contract still?
I had a full year.
A full year?
Yeah. I still had a full year on my contract, plus the outstanding salaries that I wasn't paid in full.
Yeah, that you weren't paid in full.
Know, but I got none of that. And better yet, I still have to pay them. So that's why I put in a thingy to appeal. So that's why the case is with SAFA now.
Okay. So that's not done yet. That's an ongoing.
I hope so.
So
it's been quiet
what's
for
your
some
lesson
time.
learned there? Like, I mean, in terms of, do you feel you were adequately represented? Clearly the club would have been well represented, I'm sure.
I think I was also well represented, If looking at the facts that my attorney brought on board, it was, because whatever that we brought forward, it's what happened. Even the WhatsApp conversations that were happening between me and the team, the phone calls that we're having, them trying to negotiate, it's all there.
But then how is it possible you lost the case unless something underhanded or...
Unfortunately, I didn't study law. I don't know. You know, so... Probably, maybe there's somewhere, I don't know. But honestly, I don't know how. I would be telling you lies if I say I don't know how we lost the case, because we came with the truth. So whatever that they came up seemed sufficient, more like the truth was. So that's how they won the case. They know how. Whether I would say their lawyers are good, maybe the one that was representing me, but I don't think the guy is not good. He knows his job as well, and he was working on evidence.
Yeah. So that's obviously an ongoing case against DS Galaxy. Against with Marumo now, there's outstanding fees that need to be paid out. That's something you fight, a battle you're fighting as well.
The nicest thing with Marumo is that the outstanding salaries that they were owing, they accepted and acknowledged that to say, oh, this we know will pay. So they are just fighting the termination because they terminated and they don't want to pay me for terminating.
Okay.
They're saying they're terminating without compensation. So I'm saying, why are you terminating me and you don't want to compensate me? Because I did nothing wrong. You know, you just release the coach. After you release a coach, you terminate me. And then I should be at fault.
Sure.
You know, so yeah, that's where it is.
Okay. So again, back pay as well as the termination fee, which
it's only fair. I feel it's only fair to say you are the one that come forward and say, dude, we don't think we're going to need your services. And I had time left. You know, it's only fair to say, oh, okay, we can be able to give you this. And if it's fair for me, I'll accept and say, yeah, fair enough.
Let's come to an agreement.
Yeah, so that I can move forward and go look for employment elsewhere.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I guess it paints a picture. So a lot of people, like you say, we don't always understand what's happening behind the scenes and the things that players go through. And
Definitely.
Yeah, that's quite intricate. It's a lot to deal with.
I believe that it will get better. You know, they will learn from our experiences as well.
No, certainly. And we hope they do. So to all our young footballers out there, make sure you listen intently. And the idea is that you don't repeat, possibly, I don't want to say the mistakes, but the stuff we've gone through and the stuff, you know, former footballers have gone through in years past. We need to take these as lessons so that we don't make the same mistakes moving forward. And so, again, we really appreciate you sharing your heart and sharing your experiences. I know it's going to be invaluable to a lot of young footballers out there.
No, I'm grateful for the opportunity you guys give so that we can be able to share the knowledge that we have and the youngsters can learn from it and they can do better. They can improve the environment, like we said. You know, so thanks to Switch On for always having people like us to tell a story and be able to not only players, but the society to learn and know how to deal with football players and them understanding as to what we go through as well, because we're human.
Yeah, certainly. I think that's the most important thing. We are humans after all, and we need to treat one another accordingly. Xola, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. You've heard it from the legend. He's still available. He's still looking to play. And trust me, what I see, he still has a lot of life in those legs. And so to any suitors out there, make sure you get his number and get him on the field. We'd love to see him back on the field. This has been Switch On Network once again. Make sure you interact with us, like, comment, subscribe. You've heard his side of the story. What are your thoughts thereon? And engage with us. We'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned. A lot more content to come through on Switch On Network.